What's good, folks? Welcome to this player spotlight edition of Disguised Coverage. I am your host, Anthony Prohaska. Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro, two underscores, ANT. In this edition of Disguised Coverage, we will be highlighting Frank Gore Jr. and his play against the Carolina Panthers in the Buffalo Bills preseason finale, a performance that saw him really kind of lead the way for the offense, obviously on the ground, especially 18 carries, 101 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, one touchdown, a longest run of 17 yards. We saw Darrynton Evans exit earlier in the game, which really thrust the bulk of the snaps onto Frank Gore Jr.'s shoulders, and he performed well. We saw him exit late in the game with an apparent knee injury after he kind of got rolled up or bent underneath a pile, which was a shame considering how strong his performance was up until that point. And again, with Evans being out and Ben DiNucci being in his second week with the Buffalo Bills, Anthony Brown being the other quarterback in this game, and it being his first week with the Buffalo Bills, the run game, much like the game against the Steelers, was the focal point for this Bills offense, and Gore was very much the tip of the spear for that run game. We're going to get into several of the concepts he succeeded with in the game against Carolina and highlight his skill set. I think there were several runs in this game against the Panthers that are a good microcosm or representation of who and what Frank Gore Jr. is as a runner. Looking at this Bills running back room, it's going to be tough to crack the main roster, that initial 53 or even the top three in the running back room, given the presence of James Cook, Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson. But I think Gore has definitely made a case to earn himself a spot on the practice squad. Darrynton Evans, I think, has as well. Evans gives you a little bit of a different type of skill set than Gore, a little more juice to his game, more wiggle, more shake, the ability to catch the ball coming out of the backfield, also that ability as a returner on special teams. So a bit of a different dynamic. It'll be interesting to see who the Bills keep between Gore, between Evans, or if they try to keep both of them. Either way, Gore had a really strong performance against the Carolina Panthers. He had a good preseason overall. Nice to see this Bills run game start to pick it up after a not so ideal performance to open the preseason against the Chicago Bears, but they really started to turn it around against the Steelers and against the Panthers. And again, that performance against the Panthers when it comes to the run game, shout out to the offensive line for doing their part. We're going to look at some of those pieces in this breakdown as well. But without further ado, let's dive right into the tape from this game and take a look at Frank Gore Jr. We've got 8 plays to go through that I think are a good representation of not just Gore's performance in this game, but really who he is as a player. And you're going to hear a lot of, similar terms and similar skill set descriptions in these plays. We're going to talk about contact balance. We're going to talk about vision. We are going to talk about efficiency. We're going to talk about running behind your pads, bouncing off defenders. I don't think there's a lot of sexiness to Gore's game. There's not a ton of sizzle to his game, but what you do get is efficiency. You get someone who is going to get you what a run is blocked for, and then he could potentially get you a couple more with his ability to break tackles, consistently fall forward, and kind of make something out of nothing when it comes to being stopped in his tracks, but still being able to get forward for another yard or 2 or 3 in some form or fashion. This first play here is his touchdown run in this game. Little toss play. What you're going to see on this one, contact balance, power, ability to finish through contact, him running behind his pads and then bouncing off defenders. So we're going to get some little motion here to influence the defenders. And if you notice here, we get this second level. That's not a straight line, but it's fine. You're going to get that second level shifting and bumping over in response to the motion. This creates better angles and leverage for the offensive line as they all go this way, and the tight ends as well, and KJ Hamler over here. Create some better leverage and angles for them as the defense is moving this way, but the offense is going this way. Nothing crazy. Gore just follows his blocks. He reads the track, and then this is where he makes this run happen. You've got a safety who is coming down right on him. He's trying to close from the point of attack, too, for the Panthers there. His ability to, Frank Gore's ability, that is, to bounce off of defenders, lowers the shoulder, goes right through 22, goes through a couple more defenders. Again, that ability to run behind your pads, play through contact. A nice job here from Gore. And this isn't even, Gore doesn't even necessarily square him up and really try and go through him. It's just a natural part of his game. That contact balance, that power, and the ability to play through contact, it just happens to him naturally. You see him ID the alley right here. He sees, he understands, he knows where it is. He knows that he's got a safety barreling down on him. And at this point, it's just kind of like will and want to on Frank Gore Jr.'s part. And he gets upfield, takes a good angle. You see again, Here's where the alley is. So he doesn't get inefficient. He doesn't try to take on 22 or allow this defender to kind of get a full straight hit. He maintains that angle to try and make the hits from both of these defenders coming from the inside, trying to make those hits more of glancing blows than straight on hits. Goes forward, lowers the shoulder, anticipating that contact, and just watch what happens to 22, who just, boom, bounces right off him. I'm just going to show it a couple more times. Again, this is also why you want to wrap up. This is why you teach defenders wrap up. Don't just bring the shoulder. It's shoulder on shoulder here. Gore is coming downhill. He's got more momentum. He is the hammer. 22 is the nail. But it doesn't just end there, right? He puts the shoulder down, pops 22, and then he's playing through contact here from this outside defender who's trying to spin back inside and make a play, from the pursuit defender on the inside trying to make a play. So he's kind of stopped here at the 2 or 3 yard line. And again, it's that ability to fall forward, to play through contact, to play through the trash, consistently falling forward, gaining an extra 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 yards on the regular. And in this instance, those 1 or 2 extra yards is what enables him to get a touchdown. And you see how pumped the supporting cast is for Gore on this play. Again, one more time, let's show it in real time. Pitch, Gore follows his blocks, cuts it upfield, bang, physical, decisive, nice run from Frank Gore Jr. We've got a mid-zone run from the Buffalo Bills. You're going to notice a lot of similarities. I'm going to be showing it from sideline angles, both end zone angles, a lot of duo in this game. So that first play was a toss play. What we're going to get through the rest of in these highlights is duo and mid-zone from the Buffalo Bills. 2 concepts that they like in the regular season, 2 concepts that they liked in this preseason. We've seen a bit of the Bills dart concepts, their tackle pull stuff with the ones this preseason, but they've kind of kept some of that close to the vest. The majority of runs we've seen this preseason for the Bills have been duo, have been mid-zone, and then a couple pin and pulls mixed in as well. But here's another run for Mr. Gore. Again, we're going to get some mid-zone. It's going to go to the weak side over here. Zone run, you're trying to be like water if you're the running back. You're trying to find wherever the hole is, wherever the alley is, go to it. You're being adaptable, you're being fluid, and reading what's happening up front and adjusting accordingly. So here comes Gore. What's nice is as soon as he gets the ball, he gets downfield, right? Or upfield, I should say. Gets his eyes right onto 57, which commits 57 to this A-gap right here. So he gets him to commit to that A-gap, sets up his block there, which is nice. Now his eyes are immediately coming to the rest of the run. He knows 57 is taken care of. He sees that 57 is got his shoulder and his head in this gap, so he's got to go elsewhere. So he starts to bounce it. ID's 74, who comes off of his block. Now 74 is in this gap. So what does Gore do? He continues to bounce this. As he's bouncing, he sees 37 coming inside, and he also sees 31, the corner right here on the outside, shrink down and put himself into an inside position. So Gore just continues to bounce this outside, runs right around. And again, this is where we see that contact balance. This is where we see that power. 31 is only able to get an arm on him. Gore shakes through that. Then we get another arm, kind of horse collar-y, helmet, neck type of tackle. Gore ends up going out of bounds, but he also shakes that off, tries to spin inside off of it. This one is good vision, good contact balance, setting up your blocks. You could see him kind of play through it in real time after we broke it down in slow-mo. Again, it's not the sexiest. It's not, man, look at that. Look at that juke. Look at that step. It's just good movement. It's a very professional running style. It's a very professional approach. Sets up his blocks, helps out his blockers. I think he's a offensive lineman friendly type of running back because he uses his blocks well, and he also helps set up blocks for his offensive linemen. You can just see him, again, processing everything here, and we'll keep it in slow-mo from here. Can I get here? Nope. There's a defender in that gap. Can I go here? Nope. There's another defender. Okay, everybody's inside. Let me just keep going around this way. Let me see if I can turn the corner. Defender gets a piece of me. Shake off each time. Next run here, we're going to get a duo run. So this one is against a 4-down front. We have a couple duo runs, well, several duo runs to get through in this spotlight for Frank Gore Jr. You're going to notice some of the ones against 4-down fronts, he's able to kind of keep this thing inside. Some of the ones against 5-man fronts for the Panthers, he's bouncing it outside. That is just pure bodies inside, numbers inside, how it muddies gaps on the interior, where it creates space. We're going to get into that with each play as we go forward here. But duo run, so Frank Gore, run into the tight end side, Tight ends over here. We got Trey McKitty in line, and then Zach Davidson hipped off of him. And Frank Gore is reading the play side linebacker on these duo runs. And not just Frank Gore, that's what every running back is reading on these duo runs. You're reading the play side linebacker. And so he's seeing how these double teams develop. We have a double team here, double team here, double team here. And then he's got linemen and tight ends who are going to climb to the second level, pick off guys, and we're going to see kind of where he flows and how he fits. But you see him read that play side linebacker. Here comes 53 down. He gets picked up. Gore sees the flash of color inside. So he's like, okay, let me bounce this thing to the backside. So puts his foot in the ground, goes to step up into the hole, sees another flash of color here. So he bounces again. Now this is nice. Right in the moment, reading the defender, who actually does a pretty good job shedding his man. But this is where you kind of get that make a man miss in a phone booth type of aspect of Frank Gore's game, similar to kind of what Devin Singletary was able to do when he was here in Buffalo. But I think Singletary has more suddenness or sharpness to his jukes and his ability to make guys miss in a phone booth. So he sees that flash of color inside. So Gore is trying to cut here. And in Gore's mind right now, okay, let's actually go back a little bit. Gore is going to make this cut. He sees this defender right here in this gap. So in Gore's mind, he's like, okay, cool, I'm going to bounce it, and I'm going to go this way. But as he makes this cut, watch the defender here. The defender sees Gore, sheds his man, and now as Gore is finishing his cut, he's in position to make a play on Frank Gore. Gore puts his foot in the ground, gets through him, gets to the second level, bounces off a defender, finishes off the run. Nice vision, nice feet, nice reactions in the moment after the initial plan and the initial thought. I want to show this angle too, because it shows that contact balance and that ability of Frank Gore Jr. to run behind his pads and bounce off of second level defenders. Watch as he makes the cut and then boom, just kind of pinballing through. Just pinballing through. Gets through. He's going to get hit by 27. Breaks the tackle. It just moves him east and west a little bit. Gets hit by another defender over here, coming from the mess that's inside. Bounces off of that, keeps going forward, does a good job. Not the flashiest type of run, but reads what's happening up front, sees a defender in this gap, sees a defender in this gap. Okay, so let me bounce this thing. 75 is now free. Let me put my foot in the ground. Let me get north and south. He gets hit right here. Okay. And let's watch this play as we continue to go forward, and let's count how many yards he gets after contact. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 yards after contact there, 4.5 to 5 yards after contact. And he goes through two defenders. Let it run in real time from the original point in this play. Dual run, reading that front side linebacker, sees defenders in gaps. Nice. Again, runs behind his pads, north and south, contact balance, keeps his feet churning on contact, gets every drop of what he can on each run. And pinballs around there. Good finish from Frank Gore Jr. Next play, we're going to get another duo run from the Buffalo Bills. This one, again, is versus a 4-down front for the Panthers, much like it was on the previous play. And nothing, again, sexy on this one. He just pushes the pile. He's able to get the first down. I believe this one is a 2nd down and 5. And watch how he's able to push the pile. Also, shout out to, let's watch the offensive line here. We talked about some love for the offensive line. Look at the push and the displacement they're able to generate. Look how clean the track is for Frank Gore Jr. as he goes forward and how long it takes for contact to be had against him. But what's nice is as things get muddy, and we have it on the sideline angle, I'm going to show it from the end zone angle in a minute right after. Watch how he goes forward. It starts to get muddy. Okay, he's hit. And he's right here. All right, understood. He gets hit. Just watch him push the pile, get more. He's got, and we're going to see it from the end zone angle, he's got a very large defensive tackle on his back at this point. Carries him for a little bit. That same 75 who he just juked in the hole on the previous play, carries him forward for a little bit, gets about 3 yards after contact. Watch it from the end zone angle. Duo, here we go. Run to the tight end side. Double team here. Double team here. You are reading this play side, front side linebacker. Linebacker shift on the snap, which is fine. Here goes Gore. What does he see? Linebacker's fitting in this gap. Pretty easy. Here's the alley. Here's the alley. Nice and fun. So he reads what he's got going on in front of him. He sees 27 filling from depth. So let me put my foot in the ground. Let me see if I can get this way, turn this hit into a glancing blow that I could potentially break a tackle from, or can I cut this inside between this gap here? And you notice here, he even loses his footing here. This is happening to the bunch of Bills in this game. It happened to Gore several times. It happened to KJ Hamler. It happened to Zach Davidson. Gore loses his footing a little bit, so he's not in like the best position to absorb contact, but does so, pushes the pile, and carries a defender forward. Key that linebacker. There's the hole. Make a decision. Carry defender forward. Not sexy, not amazing, not a ton of sizzle, just an efficient run. Good contact balance, good power, run behind your pads, keep your feet moving. Next up, we have another duo run. This time you will notice we've got a 5-man front from the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, if you've got another man on the defensive line, you've got less bodies at the second level and at the third level. So what you'll notice on these 5-man front lines that the Bills run duo against, you'll notice the ability of Frank Gore to have the opportunity to bounce this run outside, and this is what we get. So I want to show you the sideline angle first because, again, highlight to the offensive line for making things happen a little bit, but it also puts into perspective the play from the corner outside. So when you get these duo runs, if everything is gummed up on the inside, so you're reading that play side linebacker, but ideally what's happening for you is you want to get your running back in a one-on-one situation with a nickel defender or a corner, if that's potentially possible. So you get that opportunity to have what should be an advantage and a mismatch for your offense, which is that ability, again, to have a one-on-one situation where you are up against a nickel corner, or maybe it's a safety, or it's a corner on the outside, depending on how the defense is fitting, what type of front and coverage structure you're getting, all of that on the back end. But on this play, Gore's going to get it. He's going to bounce it outside, and you see how deep this corner is. So now this corner reads what's happening up front with Gore, so he's going to trigger, and he's going to come downhill. Watch Gore just set him up a little outside. And again, there's not a ton of wiggle, not a ton of shake to Gore's game, but he knows how to set a man up so that he can run through a shoulder or run through an arm, and that's what he does here. He threatens the outside a little bit, stabs, gets upfield, shakes his man completely, gets caught up in the ankle, but again, falls forward. Let's watch it from the end zone angle. Here's duo. And you'll notice everything here is all just kind of muddy and gummed up as he starts to go forward here. So here it is. He can see it already. There's the potential, I should say, for him to kind of cut through this spot right here. But if he's playing the long game, maybe he's thinking 53 is able to get inside there and is going to gum things up, and so he doesn't want to take the chance. Or maybe, again, this defender is peeking inside. He's kind of watching the track. Maybe something happens in here. So Gore just sees what is going on inside on this run, sees how Davidson is washing his man down here, and is like, all right, cool, let me bounce this. We get a push crack on the outside here from Justin Shorter. So he is pushing to the safety, and then he's cracking him here, walling him off, sealing him inside. Good job from Shorter. Boom. Gore shakes off a man at the first level. And then now you're in space, one-on-one with a corner. Can you make a miss? Can you shake him? Can you go through him? What can you do? And again, for a dude who doesn't have a ton of wiggle, that's it. I'm going to watch it in real time a couple times just so you can get the perspective of it. Not a ton of shake, but it's enough, right? Threaten that outside, stab your foot in the ground, get upfield. 39 doesn't even get a hand on him. Nice. Then he gets tripped up a little bit, but again, what does he do? Manages to fall forward, as he consistently does. Next one here, we are going to get a mid-zone run from the Buffalo Bills, and another one with contact balance, falling forward. Also, he loses his footing a little bit on this one. Wanted to show the sideline angle, again, to credit the offensive line and shout them out for the push. Look at the displacement that is created here. Look at where the Panthers' bodies are versus where the Bills' bodies are. There's some alleys. There's some ability to flow like water for Frank Gore. Look how far down he is. Here's the line of scrimmage. It is at the 23-yard line right here. I'm not going to be able to maintain the straight line, but look at where Gore is before he starts to have to think about getting contacted. But you watch here, gets contacted. Okay, he's contacted at the 20. Just continues to make life hard and gets an extra 2 yards. Now we'll watch it from the end zone angle. Good job on the offensive line as a whole. I do want to shout out Mr. Cedric Van Prangranger, Mr. SVPG, who was given the snap here to 15, Ben DiNucci. Watch SVPG, we got a 5 down front here for the Carolina Panthers. So this nose tackle who is lined up, head up in a zero tech right on SVPG. Watch on the snap. SVPG gets into his inside shoulder and watch him push him towards 63 to feed him. That's a really good job. So what they're trying to do, again, mid-zone run to the right, everybody stepping in unison together. You're trying to get a reach block here from 63 from that left guard. So you're trying to cross the face of that nose tackle, hook him, seal him, do whatever you can. It's hard for a left guard because of the spacing. So you've really got to be an uber athlete. And even then, it's still hard. So you execute that feed block, common zone blocking technique here. But it's a good job from SVPG feeding him to his left guard. And then after he does that, watch him get his eyes on that defender coming from the second level, comes off that feed block, bang, makes contact with the linebacker coming downhill, drives him, seals him. Good job. Okay, now let's go back to focusing on Mr. Frank Gore Jr. Takes this run here, sees all the muddiness happening over here. Zone runs, they go to a side, but if you are the running back, you are it's a choose your own adventure. You are finding whatever path, whatever track, whatever hole opens up. Gore does that on this play, sees what starts to develop backside, so presses, cuts. Now, watch as he makes this cut, he sees the defender getting his head in shoulder into that gap. So he tries to slam on the brakes. You can see it right there. Tries to plant right off that left leg so that way he can cut back between his blocking up front into this alley right here. But slips a little bit with his footing and his feet go off from under him. He slides on that left foot. He does not have a good base. He does not have power in his lower body because he's basically off the ground and he's not on stable footing. And he gets hit. Looks like the defender slips as well, but watch him kind of just shake off the tackle a little bit. He does get grabbed, but he manages to back into another defender. And even when that defender hits him, he still falls forward. Contact balance, constantly getting an extra 1 or 2 yards, sometimes more on every carry. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that changes things. 2nd and 7 versus 2nd and 6 may sound small. It's a big difference. And then even more so, 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 5, or 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 4, or getting hit at the 3 or the 2 yard line and turning that into a touchdown instead of another goal to go situation. It's just efficient running from Frank Gore. Another duo run, shocker. What do we got? Again, for the Carolina Panthers, 5 down front. What does that mean? Odds have increased a little bit that you're going to be able to bounce this run outside based on what happens up front. That is what happens on this play. This time we're going to we showed a similar run a couple plays ago where Gore bounced it outside. The corner came up. He set him up, went inside. This time this corner triggers earlier and comes downhill. But because of the cut that Gore makes, the corner slips and Gore is able to turn the corner. So this is a good job from Gore, reading it, bouncing it, and getting outside. And I know he gets pulled a little bit by 29 there as he starts to turn the corner. But I think this also highlights an aspect of his skill set. Not a burner, not a ton of long speed, has some short area ability. And again, that plays along with his power, but this isn't somebody who's going to turn, 10 yards into 20 or a 15-yard run into a house call. He does get grabbed a little bit by 29, who tries to make a recovery, which slows him down a little bit. You'll see it more on the end zone angle, but he's going to get cut off there by the safety, 36, who actually takes a pretty decent angle, 56, decent angle as well. But you see the pursuit kind of catch up to him, even though his momentum is impeded a little bit by that corner coming up. Duo run, 5 down front for the Panthers. Double team here. We're going to get McKitty's going to crash down, help Vandermark a little bit, and then he's climbing to the second level against the play side linebacker. What does Gore see? Things are muddy inside. He just sees bodies and a mass of humanity, so he knows what's going down. Let me bounce this run. We get a push crack from Demir Bird onto the safety here. So what does that all mean? Yep, you guessed it. We're getting a one-on-one situation between Frank Gore and the corner, and he makes this cut. Again, corner loses his feet. So Gore is just like, all right, cool. Let me just keep this pushing outside. Again, shout out to the corner for trying to make something happen here. He is able to literally latch onto Frank Gore's arm. Gore shakes him, but it slows him down a little bit. You're going to get this. Sometimes you're going to be able to bang this up inside, depending on what happens here. sometimes this alley is going to be available. Sometimes it's going to be backside like we showed on one. Sometimes everybody's going to be collapsed down inside, so you're bouncing it. It's all going to depend on what that play side linebacker does, and then how many defenders you have on the defensive line. Overall, what that front structure looks like for the defense in terms of what hole you are going to, where you're bouncing it, and where you're kind of banging it up in there if you're Frank Gore. But again, on this one, Gore recognizes the mass of humanity going here. So this is an ideal situation too if you are an offense. Like if you can get this thing, if this thing gets gummed up inside and you're able to wash defenders down and you're able to get that push crack on the safety, in theory, a running back in a one-on-one situation against a corner should be advantage running back. Which is another reason why guys like Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford, starting corners who are good coming forward and playing the run, matter more in the NFL today because teams are leaning more into the ground game than they have in previous years. So that run game is going to matter more for offenses. Therefore, having corners who are part of the run fit are going to matter more for defenses. We're going to get a duo run again. This time it's not under center. This time it is from gun, and we get 4 down front this time from the Carolina Panthers. But you can see everybody kind of keying in here a little bit for the run. Here we go. What do we get? Double team here. We get VPG helping out Alec Anderson a little bit here. Gore is going to get downhill. What does he see? 21 jumps inside shorter. Gore's already seeing it as he's taking the handoff from DiNucci, so he's already got his eyes to that front side. He sees what's happening here. Okay, immediately got to put your foot in the ground. Let me bounce this run. What do we have again? One-on-one situation with a cornerback outside. Frank Gore gets skinny, sets him up, and then breaks through an arm tackle, which is another good job here. Similar to kind of what he did earlier when he stepped inside on the corner on the duo run from under center to the right, sets him up, breaks tackles. What do we say? Runs through arms, runs through shoulders. That's what you're going to get a lot of time with the quote-unquote shake from Frank Gore. He's not, snatching ankles and breaking dudes down completely, but he can change leverage a little bit, and then with his contact balance and his power, he's able to run through a shoulder, able to run through an arm tackle like he does here. And then again, falls forward. I'm going to show it from the end zone angle on the other end zone, just to kind of, again, put into perspective what he's able to do from a contact balance perspective. Guy in here, okay. Guy in here, okay. What am I going to do? Let me bounce this run. I know I'm going to be one-on-one with a corner. Little shake. Boop. He completely breaks this. And then even from the tackle coming from 47, look how he carries him a little bit, forward a little bit. Again, running through contact, running through arms, running through shoulders. I'll show it one more time in real time. But the Frank Gore story, efficiency, running behind your pads, contact balance, feet, keeping your legs moving in contact, all that kind of stuff. Just falling forward. I think it was a really encouraging performance from him. We'll see what happens in terms of practice squad stuff versus game day roster versus the 53. There seems to be, with each subsequent year, there seems to be more running backs that are capable of being RB2s and RB3s and practice squad guys. So I do think there is a serviceable amount of talent out there for teams to choose from. But Frank Gore had himself a good preseason. He had a good game against the Carolina Panthers in the Bills finale over the weekend, and set himself up well, I think, to make a practice squad roster, and who knows where he goes from there. If it's with the Bills, if it's with another team, if he gets put on the Bills practice squad and signed to another team's main roster, I don't think he's a player that's just living off of name recognition. Again, he's an efficient, professional type of runner with the feet, the contact balance, the power, the ability to finish through contact, run through arm tackles, run through shoulders. I also think he knows who he is. You don't see a lot of wasted movement. That's why I talk about the efficiency. There's not a ton of, okay, let me try and create something here. He knows who he is. He gets north and south. He understands this run is blocked for 3. I'm going to try and turn it into 4, 5, or 6 by falling forward, setting my blocks up, using my blocks up. He's an offensive lineman friendly type of runner, which is nice for the room and nice for the big dudes up front. They like those type of guys that help them do their job or use the blocks well that they create. So we'll see what happens with him going forward, but a really good performance from him in this game against Carolina. Nice for him to get a 100-yard game under his belt, even if it is in the preseason. That's an accomplishment for a running back, regardless of if it's preseason, regular season, or when it comes. That'll do it for us here in this player spotlight edition of Disguised Coverage. If you like this video, drop a like on this video. Please rate and review and subscribe to Disguise Coverage, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you're listening to this show on. Turn on notifications for Disguise Coverage and subscribe to the Cover One channel as a whole. I hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.